The lab had never been meant for this. It was a place of quiet experimentation, tucked away beneath layers of secrecy, buried in the shadow of 1,000 government lies. Now, it was a disaster. Dr. Hayes stared at the flickering monitor in front of him, the data scrolling by in frantic chaos. Every readout was wrong, every calculation a misstep. The experiment had been designed to push the boundaries of life and death, to manipulate the very fabric of existence itself. But now, the glass shattered. A wave of heat and destruction tore through the lab, and a scream was lost in the blast. Seconds later, the room was filled with the sound of footsteps, hurried and frantic. The scientists, those who hadn't already been reduced to charred remains, stumbled back to life just outside the ruins of the lab. No one had to say anything. They knew what had happened. Another explosion, another death, but this time the body didn't remain lifeless. In the distance, throughout the twisted wreckage, the same scientist stood up, bloodied but alive. Dr. Hayes watched as one death after another brought them all back, but with no control over the process and no way of putting it back together. The experiment had worked too well. There was no escape from it. The moment one of them died, they were instantly resurrected somewhere else, randomly, within the lab's crumbling perimeter. The fabric of reality was shattering with every death, like a glass that had been cracked too many times. And it wasn't just the lab. Dr. Hayes saw the others, his colleagues, again. Every time they died, they would reappear with a blank expression, confused and afraid, yet unscathed. The explosions were relentless. Chaos reigned, but nothing changed. The world was crumbling under the weight of their catastrophe. Once the staff reached the outside world, they realized the extent of the horrors. Gunshots echoed. Victims of fatal car crashes just came back somewhere else. Suicide victims couldn't leave. The world wasn't healing. It looked like something out of a nightmare. Another explosion rattled the earth, shaking the very foundation of the lab. All that was left was chaos.